Material Components, Season 2, Episode 87, Casually Clandestine. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there, brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble Dragon Master, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
Oh, heck yeah.
What up?
No, thank you, Mike.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. Oh, have we never done that before?
No, we
No.
have. We have.
Yeah,
But
we
it,
have.
okay.
it
Never
was,
mind, Reed. Never mind, Reed.
Keeping track.
It was Reed last time, too, so I just...
Yeah, because
Well then, the rest of you need to catch up, I
Yeah.
think.
I make up for it by posting my recordings the night of. That's all I have to say.
That's true.
This is true. This is true.
So I'm going to be as rude as possible.
I am the first of us ungrateful, I don't know, ne'er-do-wells, and I'm Olivia, and playing Florian of Akalar.
I'm Elliot, and I make up for it by being incredibly lovable in every other aspect of my life. I've never done anything wrong. And I'm playing Shay, the Elven Wizard.
My name is Michael, and I know this, Elliot, and I love you, but I am playing Oswald Octavian Theophilus the Third.
I don't have to make up for it because I'm Reed and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I'd like to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Reed, do you remember what happened last time?
Darn tootin', Mike. I wrote it down and I'm going to try to keep it brief because we want to get to that beautiful, beautiful bean footage. So, yeah, the bean footage. That's right. We're getting to it. Yeah, roll that beautiful bean footage. This is now.
What do you think Hewn's last name is?
Yeah,
Bean footage?
Hewn
Bean
Bean
footage?
Footage.
All right.
I think
You
they
obviously don't
replaced
pay
that. I think that
attention.
guy may have died. Because I just saw a Bush's Baked Beans commercial with Peyton Manning in it instead of the guy, so rip in peace.
Do you feel bad now, Reed?
No,
Yeah, do you feel bad?
I do not feel shame or guilt or regret ever. Anyways, what happened to us in game? Well, we're still on the imperial planet of Varmstead, which we know is an old hold planet. We had visited the location that we had gotten from the university, trying to follow up on Hector Laricus's whereabouts. Figured out he had gone to this specific college, and we broke in or just opened the door to his old college room. Found the place
No, we
covered
broke
in.
in.
We broke in.
Yeah, no, we definitely broke
it was
into
just
that.
easy. It was just easy.
Turns out, real easy to break into college housing.
Yeah. And we found a secret dead drop connected to a terminal connected to the metanet that Hector had been dumping information remotely from Aegis Tech. We returned to our ship and started sifting through all of that information. Hector had left a message for his sister Cassandra, who we know works as a reporter for an established anti-corporation newsfeed called the Varmstead Oracle, warning her specifically about the possible danger that he was in, and his, if she was getting this message, it's likely that he had maybe, come to terrible ends. Something grisly, perhaps, or just vanished entirely. And then from there, we determined that we would reach out to Cassandra to set up a meeting at the monastery that is part of this University of the God's Eye Fellowship. And then Florian and Amare went to the monastery and tried to book a room, which went terribly because they're obviously not students, and the facilities are meant for students. They're like, we're actually here to check on the mental health and the well-being of one of your students, and we're not allowed to discuss that with you, but if
we did
possible.
heavily imply that was what we were doing.
Yep,
I was
yep.
like, oh god.
And then when that didn't work, we were just like, hey, we know a guy. And that worked. Yeah, we named drop Brother Hewn and got taken to a large, like a beautiful... How did you describe it, Mike?
You were led into an atrium, which consisted of a half dome with a really ornate wooden art piece that dangled from the ceiling, which, when viewed from different angles, created different symbols.
And we waited there for a while, and naturally people slowly filtered out of the space. Not because we were there, but somehow seemingly because we were there. Because once everyone was gone, from the shadows stepped out Brother Hewn.
This is true. You also started sifting through the information left behind by Hector Loricus in that giant trove of Project Chimera data that he had left behind, presumably, again, for his sister. You made contact with her and are working on figuring out a place where you can meet safely, yes. And in pursuing those ends... two of you have come to the monastery here at the college, while the other two of you remained back at the ship to continue sifting through the data you have recovered from Hector's terminal. Also, one of you had declared that financial ruin needed to be put upon the family member of another. Specifically, Shay, you had briefly asked about laying some groundwork to frame Oswald Octavian Theophilus the Second or the Fourth?
Which the fourth, the one who's trying to chomp my boy's flavor.
Okay. Yes. Well, and in so doing has now set upon you the grim work of creating a false trail of financial malfeasance.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
We'll get to that momentarily. Because where we left off was with a certain Leon and a certain Taro, now isolated, but for the appearance of, yes, that orcish fellow who has aided you in the past, Brother Hewn. There is one more very important detail that I think was left out of the situation surrounding that meeting, though, and that is the change in atmosphere, both on like the color spectrum level, but also on an etheric level of the area you are now in. The gemstones tied into the art piece above you rapidly changed color and suffused the space in an emerald glow, which ultimately caused Florian to stop feeling the pangs of hunger that he had been feeling for months now at this point. Hunger of an etheric sort. That gnawing sensation suddenly evaporated under the green glow of the crystals of the God's Eye Fellowship. So, Amari, Florian, you find yourselves now standing before the tall, proud figure of Brother Hewn, dressed unlike you've ever seen him before, but familiar insofar as you've seen other God's Eye orcs dressed in this fashion, kind of in a long robe that falls down across one shoulder, with sort of a half cloak draped along that covered shoulder, and beads wrapped around the bare wrist of the opposite arm. His hands are held at his back, and he stands before you, kind of this broad, bouldery-shouldered, porcine individual with kind of like a pushed-up nose, a large, heavy-set underjaw, and a pair of tusks that come up from those lower jaw, bristly hair cropped short on his head, and slightly canted ears that kind of flop downward in a piggish way. And he will look between the two of you, and he has just said that he needed to be sure that you were alone in this place. And I'm wondering if you have any response to that, Florian, given your change in state.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, man, for doing that. Cause like we really need this to be like a private conversation. This is a sort of sensitive topic, and I thank you for coming down here. And he doesn't even mention or register that like I don't. He's not dumb, but I don't know that he.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Brother Hewn will look at you carefully and then nod slowly and look over to you, Amari, with a quizzical glance. What is Amari's general demeanor in this moment?
I would say he's trying to keep a blank slate going, like give nothing away. Not that he is anticipating this person to be any like great entity or person of note, other than this is someone that Florian knows. And from experience, the people that Florian knows
What about the people that Florian knows, Amari?
are from Akalar, and so
Okay.
maybe he's from Akalar. And yeah. Specifically remembering Florian's brother and the conversation that Amari had with him. Like, oh yeah, great. I'm sure this will be another winner.
Hewn will take in your expression and solemnly he will step forward a few paces, and from the folds of his robe he will withdraw a small chem and hold it out towards you, Florian, and say, "These are for you.
All right.
You left in rather a rush the last we met."
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I had honestly, sir, so much has happened since then that I had not even. Is there multiple? Is it just one, or is it?
It's just one,
Okay.
because before you had like a big box of chips at this casino back on
Yeah.
Seawell,
And I
the
asked
last
him to
time you saw
convert it
Brother
for me.
Hewn. Uh-huh. And he has apparently digitized it, and you're now being handed a credit chit that presumably has all that money you
Yeah.
won? Yeah, let's say won.
I want it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. There's just been a lot going on, so I do appreciate you uh helping us out with this. This specifically. Also, this is really nice of you, and you didn't have to come all this way. And then he will kind of trail off and realize that, like, I don't know, this is just a continuation of Brother Hewn showing up exactly where he needs to be when we need him.
You did request me by name.
It was more of a just we dropped your name to let them know that we weren't absolute psychopaths, which I think we kind of conveyed in the rest of our request and conversation thereafter.
Yes, the alert that I received was rather concerned with your state here, though I assured the abbot of this monastery that your intentions, while erratic at times, are, in the long term, I believe, for good.
I'd like to think so too. Um, oh, brother, this is Amari Kellercasa. I don't believe you were previously acquainted.
Sir Kelrakasa, it is a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance, though I must confess I am aware of your situation.
Pleasure to meet you too.
I am Brother Hewn of the God's Eye Fellowship. Your companion and I met briefly on Talgon 3 and have had several interactions since then.
It
He has
was.
helped us out of a number of jams.
Oh, okay. Well,
I would not state things as such.
whatever you did to help, I appreciate it.
But it seems you do have some need this day, lest you would not have said my name, I think.
Yeah, and I do want to apologize, given the uh, nature of our, well, not our last our last kind of real conversation. I know that you and your folk were trying to stay uninvolved with anything we were doing, but this is sort of a dire.
I suppose before this goes any further, along that line, I must ask about your association with the Cole Foundation and what this has to do with your current situation.
Well, now that's a good question. Well, now that's a good question. Uh, cause we aren't technically like uh, we're not officially with the Cole Foundation, though are still operating under their purview, I guess.
I see.
We uh we met the we met the Archproctor, and
I mean, that's gonna make Amaria like turn to Flora and just be like,
yep.
"You
Nope, I trust this guy. I like him. He's cool.
all right?" So
Don't worry about it. That's
you trust
that's
you trust
the
this guy
that's
with
the
all of our secrets, our group.
that is the
secret.
vibe.
Okay.
That is the vibe that
Well,
Florian is projecting. Is like, hey,
understandable.
don't worry
Yeah.
about it. This guy is
make
cool.
let's make some executive decisions.
Secrets
sure.
don't make friends. And the well, I'm just gonna be frank about this. The matter in which we are currently dealing with kind of supersedes any. It's a small favor we need, but it is sort of critical. We are under the watch of the Empire, and we don't have a lot of time, and would rather get out of Imperial space sooner rather than later, and needed a place where we knew we couldn't be watched.
Fascinating. When last we had a true conversation, and to my mind, we have maybe only had two of those, though one was in passing, while you investigated God's tech of a dangerous nature.
Yeah, this is not dissimilar from that situation.
Our paths crossing on
Fine.
Seawell, you must know, was a matter of chance. I did not seek to intercede on your behalf until your presence was made known to me. Your involvement there complicated a great many things.
Oh, well, I do apologize about that. I think he has his hat off at this point.
I will make this a simple transaction, and I think perhaps it would be best if we left it at that.
That is more than charitable.
Return to this monastery with the helmet that you have stolen, and a place of refuge can be found for you.
Can I ask? Obviously, I don't need to know what you're doing with it, but can you assure me that it is not going to be brought to use harm? That's the only reason I took it, to be perfectly honest.
And to be perfectly honest, the reason I have not made contact with you prior to this moment is because I trusted in that fact. But there are other members of my order who would feel more secure if it were in our hands rather than yours.
Can I make some sort of, not insight, but I think like some sort of influence check to just like determine. I trust this guy. He hasn't given us any reason to not trust him, but like I've only met him like a couple times. Very
Yeah.
briefly.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he just asked you for the key, like the nuclear launch code.
Codes
I was
for
just
the
like, yeah,
bomb
you
that-
took this
yeah.
from us.
Yeah.
He never said
I mean-
that you took it from him, but
yeah,
he
I
knows that
did-
you
I
have.
did steal it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did 100% steal.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, that totally seems reasonable. You want to get some kind of read on this guy?
yeah, just vibe check.
Sure, vibe check. Influence would probably be perception. I mean, there's plenty of talents that I think
Yeah.
could cover this.
I was going to trade on like my previous interactions with him and use influence.
Totally.
And I think I'm being like careful about this assessment. So, do I have a challenge rating?
This is maybe the first time outside of your first interaction with Brother Hewn in which you've actually been talking to him face to face for any length of time. After your first interaction with him on Talgon 3, it was a brief conversation in an elevator,
Yep.
and
then me shoving the chips into his hands and running. Yeah.
Right. So
You did have that cafeteria convo too.
Oh yeah, but
he
I
also
don't
did
know
show
if
up
he
on
was,
the yeah.
if he was actually there for that.
That's a good point.
was, yeah.
I would say this is hard. Like, you haven't had a ton of interactions with this guy, and he seems pretty stoic, all things considered, so 20 is what I'm looking for here.
Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of Aether in there, but like just 2.
Okay.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
Dice go everywhere.
I just threw a die up into the air. Okay. That is... I'm gonna use an XP to re-roll some of this.
How many ones you got showing?
Just 1.
Okay.
But I got a 1 and a 2. So,
okay. Any of those Aether dice come up 1?
Nope.
Okay.
They're both 5s.
Oh.
Ooh, spicy.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that's 10 for Aether, 5 plus 5 for influence is 15, plus 10 on my careful die is 35.
35. That's a crit as well. So
I take him out.
okay.
I just stab Brother. No, I'm kidding.
Cold one between the shoulder blades.
What's our?
No, you gotta suplex him.
Yeah.
Danger gauge at?
Danger gauge is just at 2. Get some Aether back.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Roll a d6, and that's how many Aether you get back.
Oh, that was a 6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With the critical there, you would determine that he actually didn't know you had the helmet until he saw your reaction to him saying you had the helmet.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I'm not. It's not. Yeah.
You're supposed to be a better poker player than
I
this,
know.
or Queen's Court player than this.
I'm not at a table. There's no cards in front of me.
I didn't know the game was being played.
Yeah.
The game's always being played.
It's all played.
Yeah, the look on his face as you react to him telling you to give back the helmet is like he nods slowly in recognition of just like, okay, we know you have it now.
Cool. All right.
You would also pick up that this guy seems stressed for some reason. Like, there's something about this conversation that is setting him on edge that, based on what you've been telling me about your reactions to the situation, Florian, I don't know if Florian's quite aware of what exactly is making him nervous.
So listen, I was thinking about this after I said it, and I don't think it's that Florian is not aware of this, what's going on with this. I think he's, like, that's a problem for future Florian.
Okay. Well,
so
Brother Hewn thinks it's a problem for current Brother Hewn.
Yeah, that's okay. So he's like deeply uncomfortable talking to me.
He is
That sucks.
uncomfortable with the situation and is trying his best to mask what he's thinking and feeling because it's not relevant to what you're asking him. Like, there's a whole like conversation that's not happening here that he wants to have, but isn't pertinent to what you're asking him.
Yeah, it's probably like, why the fuck aren't we talking about this?
Right.
This thing that has changed since the last time I saw you.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
and it's probably because he's doing the exact same thing he did previously. Is like if something's going on and we don't know about it, he's not going to bring it up in the same way that he didn't know that we had the helm, but he brought it up to get that answer, right? So he's not going to say anything until we bring up what's making him nervous.
Yeah.
But the fact that they knew enough to like set up this whatever dampening field it is means they know something.
They know that something went missing while we were there. Also, I did post a video on the metanet.
But the helmet wasn't from that.
That's true. It was in the ship.
It was in the ship. Yeah.
I unfortunately can only remember the name we came up for it at the moment. But what was it? The Golden
Comet.
Comet. Okay.
Yeah, the Golden Comet. Oh yeah, it's not the pussy whack.
Are you sure? I feel like it's.
I mean, secretly it is.
Legally, it's the Golden Comet. In our hearts.
Yeah.
Legally,
it's scrap metal.
Oh, that's good shit.
All right. A little sort of grimace, but yeah, I mean that makes sense. If you're hell, it's what with the amount of dangerous situations we get ourselves into, it's probably not safe being with us.
Yes. And he seems like he says yes before you say with us.
But yeah. Yeah. Do. Florian will kind of like eyes to Amari to see if he's picking up on any of this.
I mean, I'm just sitting here with my arms crossed watching this happen.
Yep.
And you're picking up on most of it, Amari. I would say, like, Florian's not exactly subtle in his reactions.
No. Well, yeah, I very deliberately, like, I'm trying to speak in code, but, like, barely. Yeah, I mean, I think that should be okay, and I'll, like, look to Amari for real now, and, right, like, it's probably safer,
I mean,
not on a ship in Imperial space when we're doing all this investigating and
whatever gets extra heat off of us, I would imagine is probably a good choice.
Elliot, the player, has a Columbo face right now.
Yeah.
Do we even know that Florian has the helmet?
Yeah, I think so.
Is Florian
the
carrying the
Grawl of
helmet?
this season?
Oh, 100%. Florian is the Grawl of this
yeah.
season.
Okay.
No,
How does it feel?
'Cause I'm-
How does it feel? Does it feel good?
I deliberately created this character to be the Grawl of this party. Don't even mess.
Wait a minute, I thought I created this character to be the Grawl of this party. Hold on. Are we
God,
all
created?
we're all
No.
Grawl?
Okay.
Oswald is the cherish of this party.
Oh, that's
I actually-
It's true.
Yeah,
I
that is
actually
true.
came up with a thing that was like, okay, if the season 1 characters were playing season 2 I texted it to Elliot, but if season 1 characters were playing season 2, who would be playing who? And it was, yeah.
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 Like, come on, Oswald, like, evil dad, weird family.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's all there.
Cherish is like, oh, yeah, like, I love role playing. Creates a character that's just
Yeah.
like her. Yeah.
Brother Hewn will glance to you, Amari, and say, "It is not so much a matter of imperial entanglements. I think you overestimate just how much of the Empire is paying attention to you and yours.
I mean, we don't exactly have a whole lot of information coming from Empire space.
Their concerns lie elsewhere. You have certainly made enemies within certain circles, but the Empire at large cares little for your ongoing activities, I should think.
That's good. That's a relief, to be honest.
Corporate bounties being what they are, There will, of course, be interested parties in your location, regardless of where you go in the Dragon's Wake, but at least where the Imperial Navy is concerned, so long as you do not make yourself an enemy of House Karnas, I feel as though you can tread without fear in most places. Bounty hunting is not seen as a particularly civil endeavor in most settled space within the Empire. The legions would take it poorly if someone assaulted you openly.
So it's it ain't Imperial forces that are making the helm dangerous to be around, but other forces are. So we will just turn that over to you folk, and problem solved. And then we can have this meeting space. And
Yes.
Does your organization know? I mean, clearly you know about the bounties,
They are a public record.
and clearly someone is keeping track of ours if they're known to you. Unless you just looked, I guess you could have just looked them up right now, but
In point of fact, I am keeping track of you.
that's
Your
all.
actions have not gone unnoticed in other circles. Just because the Imperial bureaucracy does not pay any attention to you does not mean, well, your association with the Cole Foundation and your actions pertaining to the God's Tech you recovered from the Children of Aetir. There are interested parties in your goings-on, not least of which the Fellowship, which I represent.
And I don't suppose you would be so kind as to shed a little insight
About what?
about why, and about the whole situation with y'all and the Archproctor, and why you're so uncomfortable with them.
You say you have met the Archproctor.
Yeah. And if that's the reason, then that, that's...
What do you know of their true nature?
One shoulder shrug.
Then you willingly make yourself the pawn of a creature of indeterminate age and power capable of many deeds that those who have observed them would call impossible. Is this correct?
I don't know if pawn is a good word for it, but
Knowingly employed, then.
yeah.
I don't know if Shay not here. I don't know if employed is the right term. We're not getting paid.
Literally, we're given a stipend
Oh,
for this.
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like all of our money.
If this is true, and then you continue to ask why the Fellowship might have a bit of anxiety where this association is concerned.
Yeah, I guess I just was knowing about any, they just seem sort of neutral. And I have been wondering if you had any further insight into that. That's the thing, we really don't know much about.
It speaks to the roots of civilization and culture in the Dragon's Wake that there are a great many ancient things which society as a whole chooses to remain ignorant of. The origins of sapient life in this galaxy, the nature of the Fae. These are not secrets so much as they are truisms, which we choose to accept as they are rather than understand the truth of their nature. That is not for us to judge. A creature, a person, must live, must exist. We do not ask that all sapient life answer these deep questions, but to know that the Archproctor might attempt to move pieces on this great board we call life with some higher-minded purpose, it sits unwell with others throughout the galaxy. We of the Fellowship perhaps are more aware of what is possible than some, and so the nature of the Archproctor concerns us. There are secrets, there are truisms, there is the nature of things which would perhaps upset the accepted truths that exist within the Dragon's Wake. And is the Archproctor one who seeks to propagate the accepted truth, or is a creature of such power that is ignorant to such things as well? Either answer is concerning.
I suppose so. If it makes you feel any better, and it probably won't, because we're just four idiots. Nothing we're doing is anything that I think if we were given the choice from some other source, we'd be making the same choices. Of course,
And that does march.
Yeah, that's unknowable, and like, I don't want to get into the philosophy of like, how could you know that to be true because you haven't experienced that. Like, I do believe we are doing what's right here.
And that heartens me. I have watched you some since our meeting on Talgan 3.
Well, now that concerns me.
You proved yourselves to be ones who look to accomplish good despite the personal cost. It would have been very easy for others in your position to simply walk away at many turns, whether it be in confronting a warlord who had taken over a shattered planet, to recovering God's tech that could have been used to reckless abandon by a death cult. Instead, you and yours have chosen to take up the mantle of the greater good. This is something that the Fellowship also strives towards, and so is admired. Now you say that the Archproctor of the Cole Foundation encourages this behavior, perhaps points you in the right direction to accomplish these deeds. This is heartening to hear, but, and this may sound somewhat naive, I suppose. Whatever the Archproctor is, it is not a person. Mortal concerns, mortal life, shapes our decision-making, and we do not think this is true of the Archproctor.
That is probably a fair assessment.
What is the limit of sacrifice that a non-mortal creature would make for the greater good from their perspective? It is difficult to say, and so we do not do business with the Cole Foundation. We prefer to keep our perspective tied to the here and now.
That makes sense. Well, in the reverse, it's also heartening to hear that your folk, don't think of the Archproctor as like some horrible evil entity or dark god that we have been manipulated by necessarily.
By no means do we believe that.
We didn't really think so either, but would have been nice to. It's nice to know that that's not the case. But
that being said, one of your number has attracted the attention of some great manipulative evil.
Eyes shoot to Florian.
Yeah. Oh, it's Oswald.
No.
Cut to Oswald.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, haven't found anything yet. Shay, what are you working
Listening
on
to
over
the
there?
podcast.
Shay, what are you working on over there?
Oh, just a little project. Little present for you.
A present for me? Oh, I didn't realize we're at the present giving stage of our friendship. Excellent. Shay, do you think this is a thing unique between us, or shall I start getting gifts for the other two? 3. Let's.
I mean, you don't have to get me anything. I just wanted to do something nice for you.
Oh, well, that's very kind. I
I feel like
wi-
we've all had kind of a rough go of it, but
sure.
I don't know. I feel like this family stuff that's going on with you it's just been really hard on you the last few
So,
cycles, or not cycles. What's months again? Turn spans?
Phases.
Phases. Fuck, I'm always gonna forget that one.
I just need to.
Last few
Yeah, I know.
phases has been.
Oh, go ahead.
Last few phases has been, I don't know, particularly rough on you, and I can't do a whole lot about, existential stuff and bounty hunters, but maybe I can cheer you up in this regard.
Oh, well, that's very kind. Don't feel like you need to go out of the way, of course. This time of year is stressful every year. Obviously, we've had extra stressors going on, what with the, as you said, existential issues and bounty hunters and whatnot. But yes, this is a common occurrence. But I believe that the work we've been doing this year has been good, and I think that I think that this year, who knows? I'm definitely anticipating keeping my ranking, but maybe even surpass.
Oh, I don't
number
think
two.
there's going to be a problem there.
Oh, you think so? Interesting. Well, I don't want you to ruin the surprise. I suppose I should get back to work, but yeah. So I haven't found anything too interesting yet. A lot of stuff we've already uncovered.
Yeah. Let me know if you come across anything particularly juicy about. I feel like we haven't really delved super far into the face side of what's going on with Mara. So if you come across any pretty juicy face stuff, just call me over and I'll take a break.
Oh yes, of course, and I will certainly. I've been training a little bit in the legal sort of communication that Faye communicate in and make bargains in. So perhaps I can find something really interesting.
I guess that is my question I had for Oswald, which
Yeah.
is how do you approach beginning to consume some of this information? Because as I mentioned last session, there is basically two different sides to this data trove. There is all of the technical data, which is algorithms and coding and like really complicated technical stuff that I don't know if Oswald has the training or expertise to really comprehend necessarily. The other half is more video log-esque stuff, and I'm not going to go into detail about every single log because there's literally years worth of them.
Right, exactly.
But there's also like not transcripts, but copies of communications between Hector and Cromwell Silvaro, among a couple of other individuals that clearly work for Aegis Tech. There are a couple of different subsections of even the video logs. There's one that are clearly like video diaries from Hector himself, like talking at a camera. There are ones that are clearly videos of experiments happening in a lab, and then there are more esoteric ones that appear to be recordings of feeds from a meta diver's perspective into possibly the Fae itself. It's tough to tell. But those are just like first approximations of what you're getting, just glancing at thumbnail images of some of these movie reels. So I'm wondering what your approach to this is.
So the first thing Oswald would want to do when he is given this mass of information is to sort, is to put like or similar things together so that they're easily accessible, and then just have further and further compartmentalize the organization, and then probably do a big spreadsheet. I am this all of the stuff he doesn't understand at all is probably all going to go in a similar like area until somebody who is a little bit more knowledgeable can sort through it. But yeah, I honestly even before he really starts looking at stuff, he wants to sort, um, and maybe he can do that by like if there's a specific word comes up in like a log or something that might help identify what it is. I don't know if these files even have names necessarily. Um,
It's mostly labeled by date,
mhm.
and like I said, they stretch back about 7 years.
Yeah.
So to about the time when the shattering would have started.
Mhm.
To give you a rough time frame.
Well, I guess we can honestly either the experiments or the meta diving sounds the most interesting.
Okay.
So
You talked about developing keywords basically for what you're looking for. Give me 3 keywords of stuff that you would have like presume you can sort all of this stuff, and give me the 3 keywords that like Oswald would start with once those things are sorted in that fashion.
Oh, nice. Oswald's playing her story.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, kind of, honestly, yes.
oh,
Uh-oh.
loved her
You gotta
story.
be careful.
You gotta be so careful.
yeah.
And you've already developed a algorithm for this sort of stuff because you developed systems when you were sifting through the first data trove, when you have all of the individual pieces of Project Chimera that you had taken from Talgun 3. So you
Right.
already sort of have a baseline, and which is why you're able to do this pretty rapidly once you start in on it.
Oof.
Because some of this data actually like lines up with some of the other information you already have from Talgun 3 in terms of like pieces of this project you already had information about. You just didn't have the
Ooh.
context for what they were building towards there.
Right. So then
And now this is giving you much more context.
another thing to note for sure is definitely stuff that is completely new information and what is old, like what we already have. As far as metagaming here, I give it to the group. What do you guys think would be great words?
Yeah, great idea.
I actually thank you for doing that, because I was gonna, if you hadn't, I was going to bring up a thing, which is we have 2 goals with all of this information. We want to figure out what's going on a little bit more and have context for like what their ultimate goal is. And we also potentially want to have something that we can like use to take this guy down,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a slightly different tack.
Mm-hmm. And by this guy, you mean Cromwell
Silvaro.
Silvaro.
No, fucking Hector. We're going straight to jail.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
Yeah, we're gonna heel turn to make a deal with Cromwell.
just like
He would love that.
like there's something to be said for figuring out what's going on, but like our immediate needs are we're trying to get allies, and so
Yes.
if potentially some of that search could aid in that, that would be
So one could be Cromwell Silvaro. Is that what you're suggesting?
potentially like anything. Again, we haven't really established how much the world at large is like not about human rights violations, or in this case, Fae rights violations. So we can't just say like, okay, here's record of Cromwell Silvaro approving all of this nasty, nasty stuff to the Fae, because people might be like, okay, I don't care.
Some people might.
Yeah, but
When
it's
it
just
comes to that sort of thing, I will say, just like as a blanket statement, the vast majority of the Dragon's Wake doesn't put up with crimes against humanity as we would understand them as humans on Earth. Like, if there is some kind of like physical atrocity happening to an individual, large governmental bodies will come down hard in a very military sense.
depends on the government, right? Because there was a big
It can.
old government that was doing lots of human sacrifice for a long time. So
And they painted it in a religious bent, and it became a whole thing.
I'm
Yeah,
just
which is
saying.
why the Empire exists to begin with. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, one
I'm
could
merely
argue
saying.
that there are atrocities being committed against the cog, and no one seems to really give a shit.
Sure. No. But, like, there are organizations out there, and the Cole Foundation is honestly one of them, and it sounds like the God's Eye Fellowship is another one that, like, does try to, like, help people where this is concerned, and they have the power and resources to do it. So, like, saying a piece of the Empire is doing something particularly nasty can cause a reaction on a wide scale.
And I think the other piece of that would be like tying the Silvaro family to it specifically if we're going to be going to potentially entities that are like anti-Aegis Tech, anti-Silvaro family.
Mm-hmm.
We'll shop
That's
it
sort of
around.
where I was going with the having at least some of the focus be on Silvaro.
Mm-hmm. And I think instead of Cromwell Silvaro, I think maybe just Silvaro. We don't know if we're gonna get like.
I would at least pull up all of his like feeds of like him having
Yeah.
direct conversations with Hector.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that would inform you about whether or not the larger great house is involved in any of this stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So yeah, well, Silvaro is one of them. The other two, what are we thinking? Olivia, you mentioned something about goals, but I'm wondering how we can maybe narrow that down.
What are our goals?
What are their goals, I guess?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Do we find out how like in depth the Court of Air is? Do we search air?
Yeah,
Or-
that was
Court of
going to be
Air.
my
Yeah.
suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Like how? Yeah.
I
and
will
how
say-
much they're involved in the.
Yeah,
A limit on this while we're metagaming,
of course.
to tie it back into what your character would know narratively, is there is maybe a big piece of missing information about the motives here that is held by Shay and Shay alone, and that piece of information may or may not be trustworthy because of came from a warlock.
All the more reason to try to dig deep on it.
Sure, but I'm just saying Oswald wouldn't necessarily be aware of that, so that angle of discovery wouldn't necessarily be
What he
open
would
until
think
Shay
of,
opens
yeah.
up about it, right?
Which is maybe what I was trying to get at with saying maybe in character, maybe focus on the Fae stuff, but I can be more, more oblique, less oblique, whichever one about
Less
it.
oblique, yeah.
Less oblique about it. Like, say something about like, oh, I mean, like, right, we kind of stumbled into the court backstabbiness on Asclipsis.
And we do know that the Court of Air is like tied into the Aegis Tech
The
anti-Fae stuff.
Yeah.
and the Empire at large.
What was the specific thing you heard from the warlock of the Court of Air?
That the Court of Air is missing a lady, which I wouldn't.
That's right.
I'm not gonna say anything. I won't say anything
That's-
specific about until
Yeah.
until I learn if it's true or
No,
not.
that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I just wanted that as the player.
Yeah, no, you're totally good.
So Court of Air, perhaps, or yeah,
Yeah,
Generally, the Court of Air. Okay.
Court of Air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is our last search term?
Oswald Octavian Theophilus.
Oh my god.
God.
It would be so in character, but if you do that, I will be mad at you.
My God, there's a whole dossier.
There isn't.
There's reams of information and not a single.
There's one file, and it's
annotation.
because they accidentally like added an extra digit to third. It was just like somebody sent Hector a message saying, "Hey, check out this video from Octavian Theophilus the second."
Oswald Octavian Theophilus. Yeah.
A second.
They
Just
added
an extra
specific
eye. Yeah.
file.
There is one piece of technical data that uses all 4 of those words independently amongst the paragraphs.
It's a code.
I was literally just going
God.
to say that. This is okay. This is one I'm gonna just throw out because it popped into my head, but doesn't have to be. I don't know that Oswald would care, like, be as focused on it, and it's probably not helpful in a wider sense. But learning information about how Mira's like AI slash humanity programming might be helpful for us to know. That might be that again. That might be like a later, we come back to this and look for that later. But just about her like development, it would also offer us some more insight into Hector because she and he obviously shared some sort of bond. We don't really know the nature of that.
Hmm. I mean,
It
obviously,
might help us find him.
Project
be able to-
Chimera is everything is going to ping Project Chimera.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Mara would also
Mara,
ping
yeah.
on like all of the.
Like, at what point does he stop using Project Chimera and start using Mira? I've already made myself sad about it.
Would I be able to differentiate Mara from Project Chimera, the larger?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
some
isn't like a
booleans
good-
and shit.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
let us assume you can direct search and it's not like you're getting partial word fragments and that's going to mess you up somehow.
Okay.
God, that's so fucking annoying.
Yeah. God, tell me about it.
This is the space future. We've moved past that.
Okay, great. we figured it. We figured out the shortcut there. Yeah, maybe just like Mara specifically, referring to her as like the individual, as opposed to this big old project we got going on here.
Okay. And if you had to order those 3, Silvaro, Cortavera, and Mara, in terms of like a hierarchy, how would you order those?
And listen, before you answer, just remember, there's always a chance that Mike will have you do one and then have a giant bug monster come and kill your possibilities.
Stab the computer.
That's true. Oh,
The
I haven't
computer
forgotten.
could get stabbed.
I have not forgotten.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Aw.
I think Silvaro should be first.
Okay.
I'm gonna. This is tough. This is tough because obviously, Mara. We love her. We want to know more about her and her development, and to keep her from, developing in a bad way.
Skynet direction.
As much as possible. But also the Court of Air would be very helpful. I'm going to say Mara and then Court of Air.
Okay. Sounds good. I will get back to you about those 3 topics.
I figured it wouldn't be instant.
No. Shay. Elliot.
Yes.
You have forced me, as the Dragon Master, to contemplate the economics of my made-up bullshit fantasy world in such a way that I must now burden you with some of this information in order to balance these scales.
It's okay.
Seems fair.
Okay.
It's not like I'm taking notes this season, so.
It's you have detailed that you wish to create some sort of record of corporate malfeasance to Oswald's sibling. To do so, we have to understand galactic economics to a certain extent. So, God damn it, I put too much thought into this.
I'll go
The
grab some
standard unit of currency in the galaxy is the jewel.
The jewel. We know this.
But are any of you aware? I may have spoken about it in the past. I do not remember. It is such a piece of esoteric bullshit in this setting. what that actually represents.
Absolutely not. It's
Okay,
money I can
great.
use to buy clothes and food.
Yep. That's exactly what it is, and I shouldn't have to think about it any further than that.
But here
And
we
no
go.
one should. But here we go.
It's made from electrum.
The joule is also a standard unit of measurement for energy in science.
Physics
That-
and shit.
Physics and shit. The naming convention sharing those two things in this setting is not a coincidence. The joule is also a standard unit of measurement for measuring etheric power. So, the weights and measure of aether in any given piece of crystal or highly radioactive metal can also be quantified to a certain extent. And so, at some point in the distant past of the galaxy, that was made the standard for currency as well. This was done mostly by, and out of pure boredom, by the gnomes of Fingalurf.
Nice.
The Fingalurf Central Bank is the single largest financial organization in the galaxy. At this point, basically everyone trades through the gnomes in terms of their currency. There are local currencies on like world-to-world basis, but for the most part, the joule is the standard currency across the galaxy. So, Vanakel, the Avia homeworld, also uses the joule. It is a standard unit of measurement, so when you say, I have this many joules, what you're really saying is somewhere in the galaxy there is a representation of the energy that you accrued in the form of an actual source of aether somewhere. Some weight and measure of crystal or metal equal to the labor that you have been paid for. Now we're talking about the concept of money as just a general idea. In our world, that is represented by silver or gold or other precious metals. In this setting, it is literally the amperage of magic, which has been given value. Just like in real life. Vorpal Corp, as an intergalactic company, basically does all of its banking with the Fingalurf Central Bank, because that is one of the largest banking establishments in the galaxy. And because they are spread throughout the galaxy, and Vorpal Corp 2 seeks to be spread throughout the galaxy, they do all of their banking through them as well. More local companies and smaller like organizations don't necessarily truck with this enormous mega financial structure. To mess with the finances of someone working for Vorpal Corp, you also have to contend with the Fingalurf Central Bank.
Okay.
This is no mean feat. Now, there are two ways you can go about this. You can either find some way to digitally, essentially, create some paper trail in which it looks as though Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV has been embezzling money out of someone else's accounts or projects or what have you. That would involve getting into the systems of Vorpal Corp specifically. The other way to do this is to get into the Fingalurf Central banking systems and somehow figure out how to make money appear or disappear out of that system. What that can involve is digitally altering records, though I will say right out the offset, that is insanely difficult to do with the Fingalurf Central Bank, the largest banking operation in the galaxy. They tend to take that stuff incredibly seriously.
I mean, that's good. They should take that kind of thing seriously.
But the thing that no one would probably suspect, because to do it would be insane,
Now you're speaking our language.
is to find the literal location of the jewels owned by an individual and either destroy them or replace them with something else. So somewhere in the galaxy, the jewels owned by an individual exist somewhere as like a piece of crystal or metal, or the energy that they own and have been employed with exists in some tangible form. It doesn't exist in a vault. That's a very esoteric way of thinking about money. You put money to use. You put it back out in the world. You put that energy somewhere else. So that physical manifestation of Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV's money is somewhere in the galaxy. If you can find it and mess with it, that would be another avenue to approach.
So, my goal in this is not necessarily to steal money from Vorpal Corp myself, or or even to actually transfer the funds, like actually transfer them. The goal here is for Vorpal Corp to come under scrutiny, negative scrutiny, seemingly because of Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV.
Now, is that going to be because they are truly to blame for something that you have set in motion, or because you have created a smokescreen behind which you lay, but appears to anyone else as though it is this person's fault that this has gone wrong? I guess, how complicated is this Rube Goldberg machine that you're setting up? Or is it merely the illusion of a Rube Goldberg?
So,
It's
kind of my
just
original... It's just dumb. Before it became clear that, like, this wasn't just going to be saying stuff and having it be true before you had to go and, like, actually think about the economic system. I was, like, gonna just transfer funds from, like if Vorpal Corp has any, like, charity funds that they do, or pulling from funds that they have for lawsuits, and then giving that and putting it in Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV's hands, so to speak, and then leaking that to some source and having it come out. Now, it doesn't sound like that's going to... I mean, I figured I'd have to roll for it, I suppose, so...
This is going to be several rolls over the course of several sessions, I think, if you want this to play out like you're describing. Because you're talking about getting into systems, several systems, getting them to interact with each other, and then making sure that that doesn't lead back to you.
Yes, that's the most important part, actually.
So, I guess where to start would be, what is the charity that Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV is stealing from?
Yes, because it has to really be something really bad, because when it gets reported on and the names Vorpal Corp and Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV are in, hopefully, the byline, but definitely the article, it's got to be really bad.
There are
As
a lot
Vorpal
of
Corp-
war orphans.
There are a lot of war orphans is the thing.
No.
There's a lot of people suffering after the war is the thing.
It's true, yeah. I mean, a whole planet, you know, was
The whole
iced.
planet got glassed.
Yeah, and where did those... what about all those refugees, you know?
Well, I don't know that there were that, like... But,
There's no orphans if you glass the whole
yeah,
planet.
I was gonna
That's
say,
all I'm
That's
saying.
true.
ooh.
Well, I mean, people like the whole
I
of the
know.
Dominion wasn't living on insert
Minos,
planet
no.
here. That's in character. No,
Among
Shay
others,
would know.
yeah.
So Does Vorpal Corp give to the Cole Foundation?
Yes, 100%.
Because
You
that
don't
actually...
want it to lead back to you, though.
Well, that's regardless. That's probably where I'm going to put most of the most of the oomph in this set of roles, is making sure that I am in no way implicated.
I guess the double-edged sword of the Cole Foundation is that on one hand, it would be a nice little fuck you to Octavian Theophilus IV, because they would probably be able to figure out like who led to their downfall. But that's also the other edge of the sword, is that like it might not implicate you, but it would be
He
kinda
did visit
sus.
the
He did.
Cole
The Storm's
Foundation
the Storm's
ship.
Repose, yeah.
Did just
Oh man. Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV, you visited your kind, charitable brother on his charity ship, and then you stole money.
the money from the
stole so much
charity
money
ship.
from a charity.
Well,
From
not
your-
the charity
from
ship,
your
but the
charitable brother's
charity.
charity ship.
One of the
Can
Oswalds
you believe
was,
that the son
spreading.
of Oswald Septimus Theophilus the First's sons stole money from a charity, and he works for Vorpal Corp, who Septimus Theophilus, Oswald Septimus Theophilus the First works for and is a chairman of.
He stole the money from the charity and then moved it into projects he was associated with to make him his own projects look better.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my god, you guys.
Yeah.
This is gonna break so
I
bad.
like where this is going.
Now,
Uh-huh.
a real question for
How much?
Shay. How much is a good question. Are you actually stealing this money? Because if the money's not actually gone,
Gotta make it
it's real easy
gotta
to
make it look
refute these
real.
claims.
gotta make it look real.
Yeah, because right, because we're trying to strike the balance between this is so bad that our Oswald gets to keep his rank, and not so bad that I fuck up the Cole Foundation.
And I'm not asking for, like, a number value here. I'm just asking
Right.
for, like, how badly is the day-to-day operations going to be affected at the Cole Foundation? Because if it's not at all, then they might not even notice.
Well, but the idea was also that somebody,
To leak.
an anonymous source, found out as well, right? And tipped
Sure.
off that it was stolen.
Yeah.
Depending on how the dominoes fall here, it might be a matter of, well, the Cole Foundation's suddenly missing a lot of money and they start to investigate. These are all incredibly important questions that I'm not asking you to answer right now. Because like I said, I think these are going to be a series of roles over a few sessions. And so you're starting to lay the groundwork here. And what the groundwork we've laid is, your scheme at this point is, step 1, steal from a charity.
Yep.
Step 2, make it look like Oswald Octavian Theophilus IV did do the stealing. Step 3, don't get caught.
Yes.
It's an
Step 3,
important step.
cannot stress the importance of step 3.
Step 3, very important. Fourth and final step, make sure all of this becomes public.
Yes.
So, in terms of exactly how bad you want step 1 to pop off, that is something I leave to you to contemplate, and we will get back to that. And when you want to, like, light that fuse, you let me know.
Okay. Okay.
So, That scheme is now in motion.
We're a bunch of chaos gremlins.
But as of right now, we're still sub step 1. After we get past step 1, things are moving and you can't stop them, basically.
Yes.
I am going to
But
start
for
a clock.
now,
I
this
am
is
going to
all theoretical. No, the start of the clock is the danger gauge.
Lovely, lovely, good and cool.
While that's all going on, Amari and Florian, Brother Hewn looks at the two of you after he has just said that something malevolent has influenced one of your number.
Amari is looking at Florian for some reason.
My head has not turned. No no muscles are moving other than
Amari
in my
has gone
eyes.
incredibly still.
The eyes just shoot to whatever direction Florian is at.
Brother Hewn will say, there are forces within the Empire that seek to do you harm. That is undeniable. Corporate interests, to be sure. But there are dark hands which work behind the scenes. Old powers, like your Arch-Proctor. We fear they may be influencing one of your number.
Is there something any of us can do to assuage those fears? Or at least insofar as this transaction goes?
As far as this place and your request for sanctuary goes, that will happen, assuming you return the helm. We only wish to make it known because there is a fear that your involvement with the Arch-Proctor could lead these Imperial powers to become aware of the Arch-Proctor's existence. And while we do not necessarily entrust our own activities with the Arch-Proctor, it can be said that we would much rather the Empire not gain control of such an entity.
Oh, yeah, well, we are trying to be very discreet about all of the goings-on that we are dealing with currently. Hence why I said that very vague sentence.
Yes. We do not recommend that you let little Oswald out of your sight much while within the Empire.
Just
Oswald?
Yes.
Amari just like, fuck.
I'm just
This guy
like
needs
a parent.
vacation.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But you know what? That was several episodes ago. Now I'm mad. It's just like it just doesn't end. Okay. All right. Do you know?
You've already encountered their agents once.
Okay. Would you mind spelling it out for me, just so I can make sure it.
Oh wait, are you talking about the bounty hunters? Oh wait, was that too not vague?
Does the word strata mean anything to you? We do not track their movements lightly, but when they move beyond Imperial space, we take note. An attack at the heart of the hegemony for a specified target was unexpected. But the fact that you overcame those agents is admirable. Though, and he will turn back and look towards Florian, the method was perhaps a little unexpected as well.
Listen, if I had any control, well, probably know that you know about what's going on. You probably know that, well, there's not much to be done about that we haven't. That situation is being handled as best we can right now. Not to be flip about it. But
And who told you that?
Olivia just almost said, my heart. Um, I mean, just based on the information we have about what's going on with my whole deal, which is to say, not a lot. You know, we're keeping it contained, but it hasn't been an issue since. So it seems to be working
I
pretty
trust
good.
you're doing what you believe is best. Just know that your situation is not unique. Others have succumbed to the void in such ways.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on not doing that.
And it is there that I might be able to offer you aid.
I mean, Amari's just sitting back watching this conversation happen. Like,
Jeez.
good
Please help.
God. This is okay. Like Amari's just watching, like Florian, like try to deal with the problems that they created, right? Like this is the moment I told you would happen,
Hey.
and here it is.
Amari, I did not create any of these situations. I was born this way, and it's honestly a little.
Let me just go back to all the episodes where like, yeah, I'd like to leech some aether, please. It's fine.
He's never known anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when told it was bad,
I've only done
He
it
did
a
keep
couple
doing it,
times
admittedly.
since that.
yes,
But
yes.
it has, like I said, it has not been a problem since, and it helped out in that back on the mining planet. So, meh. You're not even my real dad, Amari. My real dad is dead, so. Yeah, I mean, if you could help, that would. How?
There is a place, secret, away from the concerns of the Dragon's Wake. The place where my people take our name, the Eye of the Gods. There is methods there for curing void infection.
I mean, great. I'm surprised that I hadn't, like, heard about any. It wasn't in my book. It was the fucking.
We do not
Void Madness for
publicize
Dummies.
these things
Yeah.
because, but for the most extreme cases, these methods do not work. Generally, the presences within an individual do not manifest as dramatically.
I mean, yeah, sure. Sign me up for a, I don't know, God detox, whatever it is.
Before you agree to such a thing, you must know that this treatment would remove you from your current situation for a time. This is no small thing that can be done to you. It takes time, and when it is done, you will be changed. We cannot say what the final outcome will be. We do not know if the infestation has changed your mind in subtle ways that we cannot predict.
Well, how long would this process take?
Turn spans, phases. We will not know until we begin.
Right, okay. So that is much appreciated, and I would definitely like to take you up on that, but I don't know that our current situation, which again is not being handled as professionally or expertly as mine is, does not have that sort of time.
I ask.
Brother Hewn, historically, how long has it taken for someone to remedy this situation? Have you seen anyone dealing with an affliction like this before, specifically?
There is record of this sort of occurrence being cured 3 times in my people's history. I was not alive to see any of them. While I say you are not unique, that is not to say that your condition is not a rarity. I am saying it is possible for you to be cured within the eye. I realize that this is a trying decision, and there are no guarantees. I know of 4 other instances in which the cure did not take, and the host was destroyed.
Well, I don't love those odds.
Regardless of the result, your mind will be altered as well. You will be left with no memory of the eye, or that which took place there.
I mean, that's pretty standard for folks, I think.
Yes, but many have difficulty accepting the truth of such things. Even I, in my devotion to the Fellowship, have trouble reconciling the fact that my mind is tampered with whenever I make the sojourn.
I mean, listen, I am interested, and I am very much appreciative. Can I think about it while we are on planet?
Of course. Take all the time you need. And if at a later time you wish to take up this offer, it is not as though I am removing it from the table after our business is done here. So long as you do what you deem to be right, which, in my experience thus far, seems to be working towards the greater good, I would like to help you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, and I thank you kindly for that. Again, not to sound flip, I do truly appreciate it.
Well then, we will see about finding you a secure location so that you may have your meeting.
I will go. Should I just bring the helm to wherever that is?
It will be one of our meditation rooms here, but if you return with it, preferably discreetly.
Oh no, I'm gonna wear it.
I would not recommend that upon Varmstead.
I'm trying to just lighten a little bit of the. Yeah, of course, we'll be discreet about it. Thank you. I can't. I can't begin to express how much you've helped in this very urgent matter.
Well, if you, or any of your companions, and I'll look over to you, Amari, ever wish to turn aside from the path the Archproctor has set for you, and perhaps concern yourselves more with real-world concerns, the Fellowship is always welcoming of new admittance.
We appreciate the offer.
Very well. When you return, I shall not be here. But the abbot will know what to expect. In the future, should you require my assistance or seek to take me up on my offer, you may pass a message through any monastery that you might find, and word will reach me. I may not be as prompt as I was today, though.
I mean, Amari's got questions that he wants to ask about how Brother Hewn is even here. But
Seems like if you got any more questions for Brother Hewn, now is the time.
yeah, I mean, I get the feeling he's not gonna want to divulge that information, but yeah. Few last questions, Brother Hewn. How is it
Of course.
you came to be here today?
And he will glance to you and smile and say, the Fellowship has many methods of travel. There are crossroads which few dare tread, that we know safe paths upon.
Well, if you ever feel like sharing some of that information, it is a dangerous galaxy out there.
And if you ever join our Fellowship, I will be happy to share.
That's what I thought. What's the read on this guy in terms of, like, I know we have no sense of, like, Amari has no sense of, like, knowing how much aether someone has, or knowing what another person's like, what's their power level. But this,
The only way Amari would be able to get a read on that is by making physical contact in some fashion.
Oh my gosh, we do absolutely need to get some fucking Vegeta glasses that just pings people. Yeah.
Wizards can do that at a distance, but normal folks, like, you have to, like, shake hands or pat their shoulder or just, like, make some kind of physical contact to get a read.
In that case, Amari would go in for a handshake and say, well, we appreciate everything you've done for us.
And he would heartily shake your hand back and say, I only wish that there were an easier path to accomplish what you need to do. When you, like, make contact with him, when anyone makes physical contact, their etherics intermingle, at least to some extent. And that can be an experience that is as abrupt and as sudden as, like, a static shock, to a more intimate, like, mingling of your auras and emotions and being able to, like, read each other's minds if you maintain physical contact to a certain extent. But just getting, like, a basic read on someone is pretty standard, especially in, like, military circles. That would be something that you'd, like, train for. This guy's pretty standard, honestly. Like, there's nothing special going on here. He's got a fairly decent etheric aura about him. You think he's probably about as strong as your average person. He can turn on a light switch. He can power a gun, probably. He's not throwing around the sort of etheric power that, like, before you even make, like, skin-to-skin contact with Florian, you can feel the etheric heat coming off of your companion. Florian's got that much aether, like, just stored in his body at all times. When it comes to Shay, you can kind of feel the field around them that they can manipulate as a wizard. So, like, you get this, like, kind of cobwebby sensation if Shay is conducting etherics at a range and you're inside that bubble. Mm-hmm. And Oswald's pretty standard etherically, maybe a little bit more powerful than yourself or some others. But yeah, nothing really stands out about Brother Hewn.
Interesting.
Just normal orcish dude.
Sure. Well, that's good to know. All right.
Yeah, and you'd think you'd be able to sense if he was a wizard of some kind, but he doesn't appear to be.
Okay. Let's keep him on the down low. Or just a regular guy. Humble servant.
Before he leaves, he would turn back to you, Florian, and say, they're going to turn off the dampeners soon. You may want to brace yourself for the return of the hunger.
It's fucking vampire bullshit. Literally.
Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I will do what that feels like for Florian.
Okay. Brother Hewn will turn and walk towards one of the exits to this place. You see another orc waiting there, a wizened, elderly, stooped individual with a long, tasseled set of mutton chops that are, like, braided and come down to hang in front of his chest. And they exchange a few words, and then they walk off down the passageway away from you. And the lights return to normal in here, the green fading back to blue and then to that, like, warm white. And Florian, I need you to roll me a d12.
Yep, that makes sense. That's not a d12. Oh, just a standard old 7.
Good old-fashioned 7. You don't know what to expect when the lights come back on. Brother Hewn said, brace yourself, and you're a little bit nonplussed by that. When the hunger comes back, that sensation you didn't even know was gone at first, you're not sure if you should expect pain or some kind of, like, readjustment to some ache that suddenly comes back. But what you're flooded with is a familiar sensation that isn't one of pain or weakness. It's one of strength and power. There's suddenly this ability that you've been relying on for your whole life, as far as you can remember, comes back to you in such a way that you're like, oh yeah, this feels great. This ability to take aether into yourself, this is what you should feel like.
It's not as comforting as it should be, but mostly for Olivia. I think Florian probably just like, I don't know, if it feels that right, it feels that right.
Yeah. It's not like sudden, like overwhelming, like, oh
Like,
yeah,
I'm evil
euphoria or
now.
anything. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, but I get you. Yeah.
It's that feeling when you've been standing all day and you sit down for the first time and your feet are just like, there's that rush of blood that, like, as your system begins to circulate in such a way, and you get like weight off of your limbs, you're just like, okay, this is like, there's a balance restored to your body system in some way. And I'm assuming the two of you leave the monastery?
Yeah, I gotta go get those nuclear codes.
Nah, let's steal some shit first. I bet you they got good gear in here. All these monks and their weapons. Yeah,
These are the transcribing kind of monks, not the hiya kind of monks.
Wanted some laser nunchucks.
They got laser quills for transcribing. Heading back to the Teresian is easy enough. You now have a location, though, to send back to Cassandra Laraikis about where to meet. And so now it's just a matter of when. You had originally proposed tonight.
Yeah.
You have some idea of where she's coming from, so you can suggest a time where, I guess, how quickly do you want to force her to get here is the question.
Probably a fairly quick turnaround. It would be unfortunate for her to, not that I think like she's gonna betray us, because we have like juicy information that she needs, but also we don't know this person, so yeah, the sooner the better is probably my thoughts. And also, and I think Florian would probably suggest that too.
So it's basically the difference between her like catching a public transport and her like hiring somebody to get her there as quickly as possible and like feeling rushed to get there. And I guess how much of an imposition do you want this to be on her? Is like, are you basically trying to have it so she arrives with basically no time to spare, or are you giving her enough time to like get there comfortably? Like, how this is the weird position you are all in, that you are the ones making clandestine demands of the reporter to show up in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
You're the smoking man in this scenario.
Well, it's the first time that we've ever been in the position of power, so...
Right.
That's right, Cassandra.
I guess
I'm secretly your dad, but it's only revealed until like season 6.
Season
I can't remember.
8 or something.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, how much are you abusing this power, I guess? Or not even abusing, but, like, how hard are you putting the screws to Cassandra in terms of, like, manipulating her to get here in a timely fashion?
I think it should be pretty... I think it should be pretty close. Maybe not, like, she has to get there, like, exactly at the time, but yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to give her enough time to prep, really, because she could just be like, these are insane people, and the cops will be there when I show up. It'll be very bad for us.
In that case, your meeting is going to happen in about 4 hours, which is like just enough time for her to get from another continent half a world away. But y'all got spaceships. That's not exactly as big of an imposition as it would be in our normal world. So, in those 4 hours, what are you all doing to prepare? Obviously, you have a helmet to exchange, and in exchange for this safe space you have, you could tell her very easily to meet at the fellowship ward of the College of Needholg. Is there anything specifically you want to accomplish in the time you have between now and when you are meeting with Cassandra Laraikis?
I do kind of want to have the helm thing out of the way, so that that transaction does not happen when she's around. So I might
Okay,
just
yeah.
go straight back and just like, oh, here,
Yeah,
also, by the way, we have this. Um,
absolutely. You're parked at the college, so
yeah,
it's like it's not hard to do that.
yeah. So I might literally just get that out of the way.
Oh, Florian, Amari, you're back already. Florian, what are you... where are you going with that? Why are
I'm
you
leaving.
taking that?
Sorry, but Pete.
Wait,
Well, it's not
hold on. Now,
out.
hold on.
It's in like a bag or something.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just like a. Is it just like a backpack though? I think it might just be like.
It's your Jansport.
Yeah, I don't think we have any like. I don't know.
I'm sure
Way
we
to
have
transport
bags.
this. That's not. Yeah, just a
I'll
bag.
lend you one of my space Pradas.
It's got to be a big one though.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Look at me.
You've just got a burlap sack that you've got it in.
I've like stuffed like it's like wrapped in a blanket or something too. So it's just like hidden.
Sure. Okay. Oswald, are you just continuing to sift through information?
Yeah, I think so. I think setting up this meeting is not really.
Your skill set.
I think other than asking how did it go, I don't know if there's anything else that he would be doing.
And once I've gotten to a place where I'm like, okay, I've formulated what I want to do, I just got to think about how to execute. I will take a break from Oswald's present and help him go through information leading up to the meeting.
Okay. Operation Oswald's birthday is
Yes.
put on hold for the moment. Okay. Amari, anything you want to accomplish?
I was just gonna sit down and try and sift through it, like any information I could. Like if Oswald had just like, hey, here's a couple zip files that need sorting or whatever, like I'm down to get as much information as we possibly can to this reporter or anything that we can glean.
Oh yeah, we didn't really have anything prepared for her to like prove.
Oh, I guess we should do that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because like
You have no need. I figured it out.
Read, you beautiful genius.
because like we can show her the video that our presentation as well, but
Sure.
like yeah, like we need to sort through some of this info so we have some things to give her.
Oh, okay, real fast. Real fast. If we're talking about this, are we going to introduce her to her niece of sorts?
No,
I don't think so.
not
Will we have
yet.
Yeah, okay.
That's my vote. Is not yet.
Yeah, we need to make sure
Amari,
she's.
roll me a d12.
Oh, D12s are always so good. Let's see if I can find a green one. Yep,
Preferably.
it's a 5.
5. Okay. The information you're sorting through is fairly banal stuff about Cromwell Silvaro. It's interactions between Cromwell and Hector specifically. And one note that sort of leaps out at you as you're sifting through it is dated from less than a year ago. So like starting with some of the most recent interactions between them. One that leaps out at you is reference to the team or the information that was stolen from Talgun 3 and having to clean up that situation. And that sparks a memory in you as you recall back to some of your earliest missions before all of this spiraled out of control, when you were just a finder team for the Cole Foundation, and you're trying to remember all the details of Talgun 3, and everything got so complicated there so quickly but that first mission to what was once a moon base and how that ended. And you're trying to think about how everything ended there. How would they have cleaned it up if the moon was destroyed? And then you recall a detonation that happened after you left. You already knew that Aegis Tech was aware of things that the Cole Foundation was doing because of Victoria Silvaro. She was answering to the Silvaro family at large. But the note you have here seems to indicate that they were, in part, using the Cole Foundation to clean up the loose ends of Project Chimera out in the galaxy at large. And that your Finder team, was responsible for finding that piece that they needed to clean up, and was sent there explicitly to do that. And it's only later memos that indicate that you are part of that cleanup process as well. They don't indicate that they know you took all that information from Talgon 3, though. But they talk about stolen data regardless. And it becomes clear that they're not talking about Oracle Zero, though. Someone else stole this data before you did. And that's why that base had to be destroyed. Don't know who. Don't exactly know when. But it's a very interesting tidbit that you happen upon when you start in on this information.
It's not Axel Amantito.
Now, there's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time. Fuck that guy. Talgon 3 was also or am I thinking of Asclepsis? Was the Warlord was Talgon 3 as well?
Yes.
Oh, it was?
With the cog trying to get information out of our...
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, hey, also, really, really fast, it's super weird that we have not talked to our Cogrish friend about, like, hey, we encountered this really weird group of people who were, like, sort of Cog, but sort of not. Hey, do you know anything about that? Why are we so dumb?
We're dealing with a lot here, okay?
I know, there's so much stuff happening. Everything happens all the time. Well, no, but, like, do you know anything about, like, weird cyborg? I feel like that's not a...
Right, the mood didn't hit right, you know? The stars weren't right.
As you contemplate these questions, and the questions that you will soon to be asking of Cassandra Loricus, and perhaps the questions you will soon be asking one whose company you've kept for so long at this point, whose mysterious movements you've never really seemed to question, and who has insisted on remaining by your side, despite given every opportunity to leave you at safe ports of call. I think all of those questions will have to wait until next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at MKGorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.